Welcome to the Roboticist Chronicles, an ARC Specialties podcast, where we get into the nuts and bolts of robots, automation, and the implications of an evolving machine workforce.
Hello, this is Dan Alford, and you're listening to the Roboticist Chronicles podcast. We're in Atlanta, Georgia for Fabtech, and I've got a special guest today, Stu Shepard.
Hi, Dan. Good to see you again.
You got to tell them the story. We go way back.
Longer than we want to admit, actually.
Okay, Fanic.
So I first met you at Fabtech at Fanic probably in the 80s. And then I worked for KUKA, and that's when we got to know each other a little bit better. And he was a great systems integrator for KUKA. And then at Universal Robots, and even at Google, because we were involved in doing some tracks with you guys as well. But we've known each other for probably 30, 35 years.
That's the way it goes in
and we still get along.
Yeah, so far so good. But I've got a huge belief in your abilities, and yet you started a new venture here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're talking about today, because you're addressing a problem that I think is key to robotics, and that is matching the robot to the job. So what is How to Robot?
Okay, so How to Robot is an online sourcing platform that's designed for our industry specifically to bring end users and systems integrators together. What we do is we coach the end user on how to specify their project. Because some end users don't know where to start. They'll come to Fabtech and they'll look around and their eyes will glaze over because there's so many things they can do. So we help them to do something that's digestible for whatever stage of the automation business they're in today. We help them create a specification that our algorithm will recognize. And then we drop their spec into the algorithm, and it matches to systems integrators who match up with the skills and the attributes that are required to fulfill that particular project. And then once that's done, we introduce the companies together and allow them to negotiate and integrate. And the goal is to get these companies that don't think they can automate matched up with companies that can get them across the finish line and successfully help them address labor crisis, performance issues, and anything else that automation can help them solve.
Time out. We're at a trade show. I thought that's what a trade show was all about.
Well, it's true, but a lot of our customers don't come to the trade show. In fact, a lot of our customers don't even know that Fabtech exists, or they're so busy, running their business, they don't have time to come to a show like this. So we basically bring the capabilities of a Fabtech to their doorstep, but also not just Fabtech, but packaging industry, material handling industry, all kinds of other automation capabilities, because our job is to help them get into the automation business. And we try to take this as a crawl, walk, run approach. If they've never done automation before, we'll find an entry-level job that they can do to get started. And as they gain more confidence and capability in-house, we can start scaling that to be whatever they need it to be long-term.
Well, the reason I signed up with you guys is because I consider these to be the biggest problem in robotics. I tell people the biggest use of robots in America is dust collection. People buy them, they don't work, they put them in the back, and they collect dust. Right. So whenever I go into a new company, the first thing I have to do is convince people that robots aren't bad integrators are bad.
Right. So that's a big part of it. So one of the things we do is we help certify who the integrators are that we work with to make sure they're competent and capable and are doing jobs that are within their wheelhouse or their area of expertise. But the crux of the problem actually goes back even earlier than that. It's the writing of the specification that's really important, and setting expectations that are reasonable for what they're trying to achieve, and also
what technology can achieve.
And what technology can achieve.
There's limits.
Because just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. There's a lot of jobs out there that look like they can be automated, and a salesperson will say, oh yeah, we've done that all the time. But have they really done that in your particular type of company? So we try to make this a digestible and scalable process based on where you're at in your automation journey to get you into the game and get you introduced to the great integrators that are out there in the marketplace that can, in fact, get it done and support the project and support the information and other things that are necessary to coach that customer into a degree of success.
You're very active in A3, right?
Yes, I've been for years.
So
it's the Association for Advancing Automation.
Was called RIA.
Was called RIA. Now it's morphed or evolved into A3. So it's robotics, vision and imaging and then the motion controls. And then the fourth attribute that's recently been added to it is artificial intelligence. And the key to all of that is that all of these companies are growing and the industry is growing. And for us, the key is to find the pragmatic people that can actually deliver good quality performance on today's level of technology and ownership. So it's not a science experiment and not a leap of faith to go get projects done.
So within RIA or A3 now, they have a certified integrator program.
Right.
That's why I've been a big advocate for that too. So I think what you're doing is all in the same vein. So
it's on the same vein, and in fact, we do recognize the A3 certified integrator certification in our platform as a way to help companies realize who are the best in class performers that have a proven history and background of being able to do deliveries of high-end, high-quality systems and meet the industry's expectations. The most important attribute of that is customer satisfaction.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we look at repeat sales and whether customers will come back and buy from those companies again and again. So we recognize and support not only the A3, but the Certified Robot Integrator Program and the Certified Vision Integrator Program and the Certified Vision Professional Program. All of those are important key attributes we use to differentiate companies in our platform.
I applaud this. So you told me that this system's already working in Europe.
So it was originally started in Europe in 2019, acquired with Gain & Company, and we kicked it up a notch because originally companies would want to be listed and try to figure out who are the suppliers in the marketplace, but it didn't really differentiate who you should go to and how to go get the business done. We would say, well, you need to go to academia to get that work done, or go with Bob down the street. Well, it's evolved to the point now where we can make clear recommendations on the types of companies to go through based on the matching algorithm. So since 2019, we grew it in Europe, and it's been successful in Western Europe. And then we brought it to North America really early of this year is when we finally got it started here, really since about the March timeframe. And then we've been kicking it off and adding more suppliers and customers to the platform here in North America.
I'm glad you're approaching this from both directions. Not only do you need qualified operators, but your customers have to have reasonable expectations.
Right.
You know, technology has limitations.
Right.
You know, each year we're learning more and we can do more. But you can't do more than technology will do. And mission creep, that's one of my big problems. You know, we'll tackle a project. My engineers are a bunch of people pleasers.
Right.
So they tend to say yes, never say no. But frequently more is not better on a system. So I'm hoping you're going to work with us on shaping people's expectations going in on this thing.
Right. Yeah, I think the key with the specifications is make sure the specifications are within reach of what the customer can do. They're clear and complete, and include things that they may not have considered internally that are important. Like what type of work do you need to do your facility to get that up to grade? What do you need to do from a safety perspective to meet the RA safety requirements, the RA 1506 or ISO 10218? It takes money, but that money can be minimized and optimized by planning to be successful from the outset and making sure that it's the right total budget for getting the project done. The budget's not just the cost of the equipment you might buy from the supplier, it's the total cost of operation of getting it done. And who should be involved in that project? We make sure that the right players are engaged and involved from the outset. Not only make sure their expectations are kept and identified, but also to make sure that they're participating in the outcome to make it successful. Because it's not just throw it out to the supplier and it shows up and it works.
Plug it in and make parts. That doesn't happen.
You have to have a relationship that transcends the delivery of the project, that actually takes it out into the plant. There's ownership and transparency in the ownership out on the floor, and everybody's engaged.
That's what we really try to do, is explain to people what their responsibilities would be on the project. You know, we have, more and more we're having systems which are very easy to program or program themselves, but that's not always the case. And when it's not, people need to understand what their responsibilities would be and what their technology and training level needs to be.
Well, I think the important thing with that, a lot of people think with robots you have to have robot programmers and robot PhDs and scientists, and sometimes you do. But if you've got the right partner involved, their applications will help you address the programming of the robot, but you still need to know how to weld. You still need to know how to do all the other process-specific things of the science or technology you're trying to automate. So the robot system is a tool, but the tool is not complete without that knowledge of the users and the proper application of technology to solve the application problem.
I'm going to describe what I would think would be the perfect flow in one of these.
Okay.
Somebody comes to you, you help to structure their project, create a viable, credible, doable project, bring an integrator in. And then first step for us is we tend to be doing virtual simulations now.
Right.
And I think that's huge. Without a simulation, you really don't know. That's your envelope study, that's your practicality, so probably a simulation. And then we have a laboratory, and we got a lab for a reason. It's not cheap, but it's essential. There's three kinds of projects. Projects we say can't be done. Projects we say are easy, and we're able to write a quote. And then that third group, which is we need to go to the lab and develop this process ahead of time.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I've worked with you for such a long time is I take stuff to him that, frankly, I take it and say, Dan, this can't be done. And I give it to you, and he calls me back a month, a week, a year, or whatever later and says, here it is, it's finished.
Yes, no, or maybe.
But to your point, though, I think it's important that's also important in setting the customer's expectation. And a lot of times customers will ask us, well, how do you differentiate from one supplier to another one? Well, it's by going and validating, can the process be done? What's the proof that it works? What's the cycle time or the simulation? Now, it sounds like that takes money, but ultimately it saves money because it eliminates mistakes early in the game, because you can eliminate and optimize cost and risk early in the process. It's harder to do when you've already shipped the system that's in and running.
As you know, one of the most basic things you do is an envelope study. If the robot can't reach the part, it can't manipulate the part. And we just finished a project where our robot was going to do some work on a part, but the customer did the loading robot. And they turned everything on, we were ready to go, and their robot did this. They had failed to do an envelope study.
Right.
And an envelope study is just one of the many parts of this thing.
Yeah, the envelope study, what's really important about that is a lot of times a vendor's supplier of robot specifications will say what the reach of the robot is, but it doesn't say that that's a usable envelope.
Right.
And a reach may be the end of the faceplate, or it might be the center line of axis 5 or something else. You need to know the difference, but then you have to put the tool on there and put the other peripherals, because the usable reach of the robot may be significantly different, especially if you're in a high accuracy or a low vibration type operation.
And the wrong tool can make a robot's envelope big enough or too small.
Or too small, yeah. So it's all a matter of balance, but that's where that experience comes in. And that's where we hope that our experience and our speed at analyzing things helps customers take advantage of the knowledge that's available and cut down that period of time that it takes from the idea of, hey, I need to do something, to actually getting it implemented. And that's all aspects. That's the financial aspect, it's the facilities aspect, it's the actual technology, but then also the usability by the end customer.
Well, I'm going to be guardedly optimistic, but I'm not going to cancel my trade show reservations either. But I look forward to working with you on these things. We're just getting started. I think it was this week we kicked off. Right?
Yeah, finally got it kicked off. And it's like anything else. It takes time for us to practice and get better and working together. The trade shows are important both for your company and ours, because that's where we meet some new customers and help people evangelize the gospel according to automation and learn more about this. So I think Fabtech and other events like this are important. But for companies that can't come to this, we can bring that knowledge to them in a digestible fashion that's very cost effective.
What did we miss?
I think the only thing we missed is the getting into the platform and helping customers figure out how to get started. So the How to Robot platform actually has some tools in it to help you in your automation journey. If you're not sure where to start, go to howtorobot.com, and there's actually some tools in there for you to map out your process, ask questions, and kind of get coached along the way a little bit, and then we can get engaged and carry customers into how to actually turn it into an actionable result. So we're there to help. give us a call or go into the website, either one, and we can help you on your automation journey and get things started.
Just do everything you touch works, so I suspect this will too. But I think you're doing something good for the industry, so I applaud you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And it's a new approach, it's a new way, but it's a new world. So we want to try to make this approach digestible and reachable to the whole marketplace. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be together on this podcast.
Well, let's let it run for 6 months or so, and then we'll get you back on the podcast.
There you go. We'll have a success story by then.
Excellent. Thank you,
All
sir.
right. Thank you. Thanks, Dan.